Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the shop. This video right here is I guess you would call a request video. When we was at the No Name Nationals at the Burnout Pit, we was talking to Frankenstein C20 and his wife Nancy. And she likes to tinker around and sharpen stuff and things like that. And she asked me if I would do a video on sharpening a handsaw because she wants to know how to do it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start out at first. I'm going to explain some stuff that you may or may not have to do in the files and the setter you need to set the saw, and then we'll just get into it. So hang on, hope y'all enjoy this. Okay, here's our setup. This is just a demonstration thing, so I didn't really clean this saw. I don't use hand saws that much. So anyway, if you have an old rusted saw like this, please clean it off, oil her down real good, and get that done. Now, before we get into this, if you've got an old handsaw that's crusted up like this, and a lot of times when they get this rusted up, you'll go to setting the teeth, and you'll see that here in a minute. It'll start snapping teeth off. One remedy for that is you can take the handle off of it, throw it in an oven at 350, 375 degrees for about an hour, hour and a half, and then shut the oven off and let her sit in there until it completely cools down. A lot of times that'll soften up these teeth enough where you can set them, which is bending them back and forth, and without snapping them off. So that's something to take into consideration. Sometimes you don't have to do that, sometimes you do. Another thing, if you've got a saw that's been filed a bunch of times by hand, that thing will be down through here, right? That's almost impossible to get rid of with hand filing unless you got a lot of time on your hands. The best thing to do there, find a way to get a straight edge down it or hold it up against a piece of wood and see if it's bad. Depends on how particular you want to get with it, right? I do have a machine that does automatic setting. I can cut teeth in it, all that kind of stuff. I actually got automatic filers, but I don't do hand saws that much. So this little thing is just for people out in your shop that want to, maybe give it a shot. All right, what you need is, this is in a little 4-inch vise. You really need something that you can get way up here and clamp it. It makes it a lot easier for filing. But this will work. I just don't have a lot of space. As you can see, I can't move it, so we're just going to demonstrate. All right, I think that takes care of that. I believe so. All right, on to the next part. Okay, the things we are going to need. There's 3 separate files you're going to need for filing hand saws. You have let's go this way, a regular taper. I'll pick it up here so you can see it. Regular taper, big thing. Right, we have a slim taper. This will take care of 80% of hand saws. This is an extra slim taper. All these are 6-inch files. I recommend you put a handle on it. I just don't have a handle handy. But this is only used for fine trim saws. This is going to handle, the slim taper is going to handle majority of your work. The regular taper will be for large tooth hand saws like rip saws and stuff like that. And if I can remember when we get into that, I'll explain rip saws, straight across, 10, 15 degrees, blah, 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 blah. Next, you're going to need, most important thing, a handsaw setter, right? These things, I don't even know if you can find them anymore. I'm sure you can find them on eBay or something. They're not very expensive. I bought this thing 25 years ago. But what you do is you unloosen this, you put it up against the saw, like So, right, it's kind of hard to look through the camera. And we're gonna come in and we're gonna hit them teeth. But it's very important you close this up where that anvil and this gap right here is about the same as that saw, right? That's a little too much. You want it to fit down on it pretty snug because all you're gonna do is be sliding this thing. Now, on top of this, I don't know if you can see the numbers. Like I said, this thing's old, but there's a little dial on there. If you can see it, right there's a little pointer where you can turn this thing to how many teeth per inch you got. And the way to find that out is you're just gonna take a tape measure, set it down on this thing, set it on the right on the tip of one tooth, and you're gonna count how many teeth. All right, like this one right here is having trouble focusing. This right here is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teeth per inch, or 8 tips per inch. So you'll set your little dial on here to 8. I'll try to find it, it's in there somewhere. All right. And, but those are the tools you're gonna need. Some way to hold it, the file that you need. This one I already know is gonna be the slim taper. Like I said, most of saws are gonna be slim taper. Unless you get into the fine tooth saws, extra slim, coarse saws. Mostly rip saws. And the setter. And like I said, just look on eBay. They're not real expensive. Like I said, if you can find them, a lot of people don't even do saws anymore. But this is for people in the shop, okay? Or just in the backyard trying to do this. Easy peasy. Once we get into it, you'll understand. All right, folks. First thing on the agenda, after cleaning, make sure you got everything ready. Count your teeth per inch. Now, when the setter comes in, you can only set one side of the saw at a time. You want to find all the saw tips that are pointing that way, right? And we'll set our setter on here. I'll give you a shot of this here in a minute. And you're going to go down through here. It's a slow, tedious process, right? And you're going to go down there. Went one snapped. I knew we was going to have that problem. Dude, just how this off. And it doesn't take a lot of pressure. You go really cranking on it, you will snap some tips. All right. See, there went another one. Like I said, this is an old junk saw. I don't care much about it. All right, now let me take you off that and give you a bird's eye view of what's going on. So we're just sliding down this saw every other tooth, right? I'm doing this one-handed now. I wish that thing would focus a little bit closer. And it's a lot easier when you got two hands. You just squeezing the handle, squeeze the handle, squeeze the handle, right? All the way down the saw. And like I said, you heard that one snap. Let's see if I can get another one. Like I said, this is old junk saw. And really hammer on it. No, most of it's at the back. There went one. Did you hear it? Let's see if this one will do it. Nope. But there'll be certain ones. And when you start doing that, that's when you have to rotate the saw. And then you're gonna go down this whole saw, right, on this side. And what you'll end up with, and you'll pull that saw out of that vise, that sucker will be bent. Seriously, like this. Don't stress on that, because when you turn it around and you do the other side, it'll bring that saw back in straight, okay? Now, let's move on to sharpening this thing. Okay, let's move to the filing. Now, every tooth that is pointing away from you, you want to set this file right down in that groove, right? Hold it straight as you can. Now, on a crosscut saw, you want 10 degrees, right? 10 degrees. 0, that's about 10 degrees. And all you want to do is you put just enough pressure on it for the file to cut. Don't really push on it, right? You want the file to do its job, right? That's all you want to do. And like I said, see, it's way up here. It's hard to freaking hold. But you want 10 degrees. I'm only doing 3 strokes. Now, this is another important piece of information. If you start out doing 3 strokes on this saw for every tooth, you do 3 strokes on that saw every tooth all the way to the end. And you hope you got it, you know, sharp. If you don't, you come back up here, you go another 2 or 3, all the way through it. Then when you flip it around, you got to remember, try to keep that same angle. It's a lot easier with a handle. Try to keep that same angle when you flip it and count, you know, like if you went 3 down and that went cleaning it up, 3 more, that makes 6 strokes. When you flip this thing around and come around to sharpen this side of the saw, we're going to go 6 strokes, right? We're going same strokes, same pressure, all the way down it the best you can. It's a little hard, but it can be done. Now, I remember what I was going to do. When you're doing freaking rip saws, there is no angles. You're probably using, you know, the taper file. And you're just going straight across. In that case, you don't have to skip one side and then do the other one, because all of them are just flat and straight. And you're just going to go each tooth, however many strokes you need to do to get it cleaned up, right? And that pretty much will get it. Now, here's another thing I did not cover in the files. Do not use double cut files. Double cut files do cut a lot of material and do a good job at it, right? But what happens if you're using a double cut file, there's no way I can magnify this enough with the camera or anything else. What it does is it makes 2 cuts, like a crosshatch pattern, right? Like in a cylinder block or anything like that. And what it does is it makes the very tip of that saw really weak. So single cut files on a handsaw every time. Let's see, anything else I need to say? I think I about got it. It's not hard. It's just time consuming. If you use a handsaw regular and keep her cleaned up, you can pretty much use that saw and file it without setting it about 2, maybe 3 times. And then you'll have to reset it because it starts losing set, which is, set is the amount of distance between the blade and the teeth. And you always want them teeth wider than this plate on the saw. That way, which is called the kerf, that way when you're cutting with it, this part don't ever bind. And when you start losing set, the saw can't go through the material down past the teeth, if that makes sense. Again, the cutting up here has to be wider than this right here. And now if you stick to them little parameters, man, you pretty much got it. I thought about, well, we'll get to that in a minute. But you see, there you go. There's pitfalls, there's not. Remember guys, this is a dying art. That's the reason you don't see that anymore. People used to pay big money. I used to work for some Mennonites and Amish people. And they would come in and you better do it right, because they would let you know real quick you didn't do it right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's about it. I covered it in a nutshell. We could go over so much more geometry on the cutting teeth and all that kind of stuff, but hand filing is an art. And you got to remember, man, back in the day, that's all they ever done. And I've seen people that can do it, man, just and turn out a perfect saw blade or handsaw, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, there you go. I hope you got something out of that. If you didn't, leave a comment. I may shoot another one. But sharpening a handsaw is not hard as long as you keep in the parameters that I was saying. You know, I mean, depending, we can go into more set, makes the saw cut easier, shorter light, you know, yada, 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 yada. But that's it for the backyard guy or the guy in the shop just want to touch his saw up and use it, right? Now, we didn't cover the Japanese back saws and all that kind of crap because that's kind of newer technology and, well, it ain't newer, it's just foreign technology. But hope you liked the video. I hope Nancy got something out of it. Leave a comment, Nancy. We'll see y'all on the next one. I don't know, be sharpening or working on the car. Just hang in, hit that like, and, you know, watch the dang videos. Need to watch ours. We'll see y'all on the next. Oh, wait a minute. Everybody home safe. Watch out for them loose lug nuts. And we'll see you on the next one.